Yo dudes!
Welcome to coconut yogurt, wonderful alternative to traditional cow's milk yogurt that is great for calves.
It's kind of like yogurt 2.0. This is a recipe from our new book, The World of the Happy Pear. Yes!
And beautiful thing about making coconut yogurt yourself is you can control the thickness, the thinness, the acidity, the sweetness. You can get it to the way you like your coconut yogurt.
And it's much cheaper than how you buy it in the shop.
Okay, first top tip in terms of making a coconut yogurt is that you have to base it around a really good quality coconut milk. And it's difficult to tell just by looking at the labels of a tin. Ideally look for one with a higher fat content and that doesn't really have many stabilizers or citric acids or things that are kind of antioxidants to prolong shelf life.
So in our experience, one guiding principle would be the Thai ones tend to be better. You know, Thai ones rather than typical supermarket. I know this one's called Thai Gold and it tends to be much better than the normal like Bayonne or other ones like that. Just because it's got more cream on the top of it.
And the cream is generally more smooth and creamier and less flaky. This one can be a bit flaky and a bit fragmented.
Okay, so that was the first top tip. So there's two ways to make coconut yogurt.
First way, just to show you, this is what we're going for. So look at that wonderful texture. Okay, so there's two ways of controlling the thickness of your coconut yogurt. One way, which we're going to show you now, is to add a thickening agent. We're going to use tapioca. The other way is to control it just by basing it around using the cream.
Now, quick question for you, Steve. What is tapioca starch?
Tapioca starch is a starch that comes from a root. Typically, once heated, it kind of goes all gelatinous. So
it's very common in South America.
Okay, first I'm going to show you the very simple one, the most inclusive one that doesn't require tapioca. To some of you watching go, Tappy, what? And you might have a health food shop around you. So this is a basic one. Go to the supermarket, buy a can of coconut milk. Make sure it's the higher fat content. Take coconut milk, open it up. Ooh, lovely. Okay.
This is exciting.
Now ask yourself, what way do you want your coconut yogurt? Do you want it thick or do you want it thin? Mr. Flynn, what way do you like yours?
Somewhere in the middle.
Okay, somewhere in the middle. Okay, so coconut milk, if you're in a warm country, store it in the fridge. In Ireland, typically everywhere is like the fridge, at least in winter and this time of year. So the cream will be at the top, so your coconut yogurt will separate. We're going to remove the cream from it.
So that's the fat at the top.
That's the fat at the top. Ooh. So you want it medium thick. So
just to give a context, half this tin is fat.
Okay, so this is really indulgent and this is lovely, good creamy fat. Okay, so if we wanted to make a really thick coconut yogurt, we would base it simply around this cream. The thing about it is it'd be much higher fat content. It'd probably 40 to 50% of this whole thing would be fat. It would be quite indulgent, but you know, it mightn't be the most healthy. Okay, but you want to make it medium. So we're going to add in half the water from this can.
Okay,
there,
beautiful.
Great. Mix it together, darling.
Okay, well, it's not. Oh, so just squish it like.
Squish it. Squish it. Now it's time to add in a probiotic. You have two choices of probiotic. You can go to your pharmacy or your health food shop and buy a tub of probiotics. The bacteria you're looking for is a lacto...
Oh wait, I'll just read it out, okay.
Read it out of our book.
Bacteria that you're looking for is Lactobacillus bulgaricus, Streptococcus thermophilus, Bifidobacterium
Lactobacillus acidophilus. Everyone with me?
We'll leave a little note underneath about it.
Okay, cool. So take your bacteria per 400 ml tin. Keep mixing until that's kind of uniform and homogeneous. Take 2 probiotic capsules and literally open them up.
They're quite cheap to buy, like this was 10.
So this is one method. An alternative method is simply to take a store-bought coconut yogurt and take 2 tablespoons and add it in. So that's your choice. You have 2 options for your probiotic source.
So here you go.
There's 1 and there's 2. Just mix it through.
And that's just going to help make it culture.
Okay, so now once we've added our probiotic, we're going to leave it culture. And what's going to happen is there that the probiotic bacteria are going to feed upon the sugar in the coconut and create acid, which is great for our stomach.
So what do I do? Leave that in the fridge?
Okay, you would put that, I normally put it in a jar, but you could put it in a bowl. Make sure you're able to cover it. And we're going to leave it sit and culture for I like to leave it culture for 24 hours. The longer you leave it to culture or ferment, the more acidic it's going to be. So if you like an acid yogurt, leave it ferment to 24, 36 hours and it will be quite sharp. Acid meaning nearly vinegary. If you want it more on the sweeter side, leave it to ferment or culture for about 12 hours, 18 hours. I know Fiona, our wonderful fermenter, likes to leave it kind of 14, 16 hours.
It's pretty tasty as it is, though.
Yeah?
Yeah, just as a cream, it's yummy.
Okay.
Do I leave that in the fridge or what do I do?
No, you want it to leave it in a temperature that's around 20 degrees. Often what I do is I leave it in my hot press.
Okay.
Okay.
Don't eat my
20
coconut
degrees,
milk.
leave it to ferment for about 12 to 14. I'm going to say 24 hours. Just leave it and come back and taste it.
Okay, second way to make coconut yogurt is using our friend Tapioca Starch coming from
So the
South
benefit
America.
of doing it with tapioca starch is you don't have to base it all around the coconut cream. You can add the full can of coconut milk and the tapioca will add the thickener without having to add excessive fat. Because this coconut yogurt would probably be about 30% fat content versus the one we're going to make here will be about 16. So again, this might sound complex, but it's down to whatever.
It's more sustainable. Anyway, first step, put on a pan on a high heat. Open up tin of high quality coconut milk.
Take spoon.
Take spoon, yes, or any kind of implement, any kind of tool that you're interested in just extracting the substance from the tin.
Okay, first reason why we're adding heat is just to break down the fat so it becomes a homogenized texture.
Okay, the coconut, it's all mono texture, it's beautiful. So what we've done is we've got 1 tablespoon of tapioca flour. And this is a really good top tip that Fiona just told us there. Was she usually makes a tapioca paste. So I've got 1 tablespoon of tapioca flour. I'm adding in 1 tablespoon of the homogeneous coconut milk and I'm just stirring it so it turns into a paste. Okay, so now once that's mixed cohesively into a nice paste.
We have our heat on a medium to low heat.
And I'm gonna add it a little at a time while stirring.
And when the tapioca tends to get heat, it tends to go all gloopy. It's quite an amazing substance. It's kind of like...
cornstarch or brown rice
It's kind of like cornstarch on speed. It's cornstarch.
10x cornstarch.
Yeah, and it kind of almost has this like Spider-Man just kind of stickability to it.
Like polenta.
Yeah, almost. Okay, so right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat and stir it for approximately 3 to 5 minutes on a medium to low heat. And what I'm trying to do here is to cook the tapioca starch so it tends to break down and kind of, I guess, melt into the coconut milk. Okay, so we've mixed that for 3 to 5 minutes, and as Dave said there, it's not going to thicken up. It's only when it cools it's starting to thicken. We're going to change it into another bowl here. And we're going to leave it sit until it cools. Because if we add in the probiotic bacteria now, because that's around 60 to 70 degrees, it's going to die. Probiotic bacteria is like our body temperature, 37 degrees. Anything above that, they will start to die. Okay, so we've leave this cool. It's now around 37 degrees, even less. Now it's time to add in our probiotic. And as I said, you have 2 choices when it comes to probiotic. You can buy store-bought probiotic. Make sure it has those bacteria that David read from our book there earlier. We could add in 2 of them. Or alternatively, you could buy a store-bought coconut yogurt and add in 2 tablespoons.
So this is like just adding the mother culture, just like you would
the
do.
mother culture, and this is going to spread.
Just like you would do for kind of kombucha or...
And a point to note about the tapioca one is, as this cools and as this cultures or ferments for longer, it will thicken further and further. It'll probably thicken kind of almost twice as much over time.
over time, like 24 hours.
Over time, like 24 hours. So mix that through. You see our texture like that. By the time that cultures for 24 hours, we're going to end up with a culture or a texture like that.
Beautiful.
And right now, try that there, Dave. Just point, just so that you're... Like it's quite sweet. There's no acidity off it. Versus try this. So this has been fermented for about 24 hours. And note the acidity off it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's almost fizzy.
Yeah, and that's what happens. That's the longer you leave it culture, the more acid that the yogurt develops.
And a bowl of granola. That's class.
Yeah, and yogurt is something that people are quite specific about it. Some people like it acidic, some people like it sweet. If you like it sweet, add in a little bit of maple syrup or any sort of liquid sweetener. I like it acidic like that. Leave it ferment, ideally at a 20-degree temperature. Leave it ferment for about 24 hours.
Should I
think
cover
it's a
it?
simple thing. Should you cover it? Yes. If you live in a warm environment, there's lots of flies. Yes. Just put a cheesecloth or else a tea towel over it.
Brilliant.
That's it. I hope you try it. I couldn't recommend it more. I love coconut yogurt. Big shout out to Fiona, our fermenter. She's amazing.
She's on Instagram. You can follow her, Fiona the Fermenter. If you have any questions, leave questions below, because this video might have come across quite complex, but it's very simple. Once you try it once, you'll realize this is so simple. It's much cheaper. I can control the acidity. I can control the thickness, and I can make it exactly the way I want.
Thanks, Mel, for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Sending loads of coconut yogurt love, and...
Mwah!